Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage John Kerry, Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, United States of America; Lisa Jackson, Vice President, Environment, Policy and Social Initiatives, Apple; and Ryan Roslansky, CEO of LinkedIn.
As you can tell, I'm getting last-minute instructions here. Hello, everybody. Concordia, thank you very, very much for hosting this very, very important conversation. I came from a UN meeting this morning with Secretary General, a bunch of heads of state regarding the next 40 days or so to Glasgow. And the truth is, if you look at the interim report on the NDCs, and also the IEA report and the IPC report, we have a hell of a distance to travel in a short period of time. And it's a no-nonsense piece of business. What's happening is happening all around the world. It portends the worst possible consequences that snowball in each other, no pun intended. I guess the snow may not be there, but the water neither, as these rivers change, the Himalayas, the glaciers, the Alps, everywhere. They're already feeling it. And you look at the Antarctic and the Arctic and the rate of, it rained in the Arctic in August. That has never been measured before. And all you have to do is fly over Greenland and see the ponds and lakes and streams of water flowing, and you can understand very quickly, not that you don't already. So how are we going to do this? No government has enough money to be able to fix this, no matter how much they might like to. 20 countries are responsible for 80% of all the emissions. And 55% of GDP, that includes those countries, Canada, Japan, US, UK, EU, have stepped up and are now declared to be on 1.5 degree tracks. But that means 45% is not yet. And that's the problem. No one group of countries or one country can solve this problem without everybody else. We can solve it. That's the good news. The IPCC report most recently said there is time if we make the right set of choices. And we have to accelerate this process, unlike anything we've ever done before. Maybe not unlike the efforts Franklin Roosevelt summoned from America when we got in World War II and could produce one B-24 bomber every hour off a former automobile plant in Michigan. Not if we do that kind of thing with solar panels and wind turbines and so forth, but we're not yet. One of our most important partners in this journey is business, private sector. I said many times when I left being Secretary of State that I was convinced it's going to be the private sector that saves us from ourselves, whether it's direct air carbon capture or a technology on CCUS or battery storage or some other kind of storage. And someone's going to make a lot of money entrepreneurially when that happens. In the meantime, we need to accelerate the marketplace transition that is critical to achieving our goals. We have here two CEOs, one CEO and one leader within the framework of Apple, Lisa Jackson, an old friend of mine who was at the EPA with President Obama. And together, she and Ryan Roslansky, who is CEO of LinkedIn, understand this entrepreneurial challenge. And they are very, very busy now with two initiatives in which they are going to be helping us to make this transition. The first I'm going to introduce is Ryan and LinkedIn, which is leading the charge in defining a climate entrepreneurial initiative, which will mentor and bring people to the table. LinkedIn obviously has such an extraordinary family of 700 and some or 800 million individuals and many entities and skill sets that have come to the table. So let me introduce Ryan to describe to you what entrepreneurial effort they can make and how that can play a critical role. The climate entrepreneurship for economic development. It's just that. It will create jobs. It defines the future. It is what makes this transition exciting and makes it also potentially, but I think almost certainly, the most significant economic transformation in the world since the Industrial Revolution. So Ryan, please come up and chat about that.
Thank you, Secretary Kerry. It is truly an honor to be here today to discuss what is the largest existential threat that's facing our generation. A threat we've all known is out there, but feels like it's becoming a little more personal to each of us as the days go by. I was born and raised in South Lake Tahoe, California's gem, a place that up until 2 weeks ago was under complete destruction from a mega fire. The type of mega fire that is not too uncommon these days in a state where, due to climate change, we're seeing destructive weather events with destructive consequences. And that's why I'm here today. It's the time to act, and that change requires a partnership between government and the private sector. Proud to be on stage with Lisa and a company like Apple, who is making real commitments and making real progress. But as Secretary Kerry and I discussed recently, it can't just be about what Microsoft is doing or about what Apple is doing. The task at hand is, how do we help the next million companies make climate pledges and make real progress? And that means, to a certain extent, progress in the climate space requires human capital solutions. And that's where LinkedIn comes in. Underneath that blue LinkedIn app on many of your phones exists the world's largest economic graph. 800 million professionals connecting to each other, to companies, to jobs, to skills, all in the order to find economic opportunity. And this graph is vibrant. It updates nearly 5 million times per minute, with people connecting and finding jobs and learning skills and messaging each other. And we want to harness the power of that economic graph and the LinkedIn platform to help make progress in climate change. We'll do that through access to insights, access to talent, and by ensuring that entrepreneurship can flourish in the space. As it relates to access to insights, we want to use the data in that economic graph and make it available to policymakers and company leaders to make well-informed decisions. Because there are some bright spots we're seeing in the data. If you take a look at the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn, over the last 5 years, we've seen a 237% increase in jobs that are posted for companies in the renewable energy space or the clean energy space. Or you take a look at the skills that people are adding to their LinkedIn profiles. You see some really cool trends. For example, one of the quickest trending skills right now on LinkedIn is sustainable fashion. It's been rising 90% year over year for the past 3 years. We want to use these data and these insights in our upcoming Green Skills Report to help policymakers make well-informed decisions and to help companies find the right talent. Because at the end of the day, this is all about finding the right talent. Take a step back on the global economy right now, and the data that we see, be it due to COVID or due to digital transformation or due to a fourth industrial revolution, new jobs are being created and displaced at record pace right now. We call it the great talent reshuffle in the world. The percentage of people who are changing roles on LinkedIn over the past 3 months is up 40% year over year. This provides an amazing moment and opportunity for us to help these job seekers become aware of the opportunities that exist in the green space. We'll do that first by creating the first global standardized taxonomy of green skills and make it available for anyone to use. So if you're a government, if you're college, if you're company, we're all speaking the same language about the green skills that matter to make progress. We'll take those skills and get them in front of job seekers so that they can acquire those skills for the opportunities that exist. There's so much demand right now from millennials and Gen Z who don't just want to work at companies that are doing well in business. They want to work at companies that are doing good for the world. And that's exactly where this fits. And then we'll help those companies to hire this talent and bring it into their company. And this is already happening. Take an example of a company in California called GoodLeap. They provide a marketplace to find sustainable home services. They're a startup. They'll be hiring 1,000 people this year into their company, and they're turning to LinkedIn to help create talent networks, to upscale and to bring that talent into their company. It's good for their company. It's good for job seekers finding new opportunities in the green space, and it's good for the planet. The key is, how do we find the next million innovative companies like GoodLeap And that's where entrepreneurship comes in and the importance of innovation and entrepreneurship. The best way to predict the future is to create it, which is why I couldn't be more excited about the initiative that Secretary Kerry is announcing today. Climate entrepreneurship for economic development could not be coming at a better time. During this great talent reshuffle that is happening in the world, we're seeing a rise in entrepreneurship. It can't just be about helping those existing companies become more green. We need to help new companies sprout up, new technologies, new entrepreneurs in the green space. And the good news is it's starting to happen. We're seeing green entrepreneurs double and outpace the growth in typical average entrepreneurs across the LinkedIn platform right now. We need to help foster that innovation and help them thrive and help them grow. One of the keys to being an entrepreneur is access to networks and access to capital. We want to use the LinkedIn platform to help make these connections, to help green entrepreneurs find capital, find people to work at their companies, find partnerships. We're able to do that through this new initiative. And the great news is that green entrepreneurs already get this. On average, a green entrepreneur is 3 times as connected than an average entrepreneur on the LinkedIn platform. So we're seeing a lot of great progress already taking shape here. So to sum up, LinkedIn is committed to helping in the climate change, making progress. We know that we can do this through access to insights, access to talent, and by fostering entrepreneurship. We stand ready to help in any way that we can and are very grateful for Secretary Kerry, for his focus, for his leadership, and for his partnership. Thank you.
Ryan, thank you very much. And we're going to come back in a minute and have a little bit of a conversation about the meaning of this and the implementation of it. Lisa Jackson is, this may sound corny, but she is genuinely one of my favorite people in public life. We had some great efforts and initiatives with President Obama in early on trying to get people to be as serious as they should about this. And anybody who survives being administrator of the EPA is more than just a survivor. So I'm happy to welcome her today. I don't know which is more challenging, the EPA or Apple, but I'm sure she'll share that with you. This initiative is the Clean Energy Demand Initiative. And both of these initiatives, by the way, we are announcing today, but we're going to roll them out officially in Glasgow at COP26. There's a whole business initiative tied to this effort, which is very important. Climate is our business, literally. And that group, I'm sure some of you will be hearing from them over the course of the next months. But please welcome with me former administrator and now the person in charge of social policy, environment, ESG, et cetera, at Apple, Lisa Jackson.
Well, hello. Good afternoon. Thank you, Special Envoy Kerry. I just want to say you are not just one of my favorite people, but one I think about all the time because on your shoulders rests so much. So thank you for your work and for your dedication to this cause. Ryan, congratulations on the announcement of the SEED initiative and your participation. Those statistics are amazing. I also want to thank Concordia for bringing us together and for all the work that it took to organize the discussions this week and to do it safely. Another year of reminders of why the work you all do and that we care about so much is important. As you know, a Category 4 hurricane hit my hometown of New Orleans pretty much to the day that Katrina hit and the levees broke. Deadly flooding in the Northeast, catastrophic wildfires in the West, the freeze across the U.S. South, which was devastating, more and more. Every year we know what the task before us is. And yet, there's always hope. There's strength in hope. And there remains tremendous energy and passion for channeling all the work of everyone from local grassroots activists and local community organizers to G20 leaders to corporate CEOs who bring their resources and their voices to this effort. We can harness that energy and we can work together to get this job done. Now, last December, our CEO, Tim Cook, spoke at the UN Climate Ambition Summit. He spoke about our pledge. It's really simple. We want to make Apple carbon neutral by 2030. Not just our own operations, because they're already carbon neutral, but our entire supply chain and across the life, use, and disposal of our products. He called it a moment for ambition, a moment for calibration and leadership. And after more than a decade of work to reduce our environmental impact, we are now more committed than ever to this ambitious climate goal and the collaboration and leadership it's going to take to reach it. We look forward to working with an administration that has shown incredible global leadership and commitment on initiatives that will accelerate clean energy adoption, cut harmful emissions like methane, promote environmental justice, and create good jobs in the process. To do all that, this administration has brought together an extraordinary team, many of whom I know, including I got the chance to have EP Administrator Regan out to visit us at Apple Park in Cupertino not long ago. As a company with operations across the world, it makes me so happy to know that someone like Special Envoy Kerry is working internationally with the wonderful relationships he has to spur action. But as he said, we have a role to play in the private sector. We can do it, but we cannot do it without government leadership. So working together, companies and government have an unparalleled opportunity to unlock the potential of a clean energy economy. We're glad to see the Biden administration working towards those ends through multiple channels. As he described, one of the most promising is the Clean Energy Demand Initiative, a powerful opportunity for the public and private sectors to facilitate affordable, abundant, and accessible renewable energy. At Apple, we've seen the need for this initiative firsthand. A few years ago, we launched our Supplier Clean Energy program to help support clean energy adoption in our supply chain. Today, more than 110 of our suppliers have already committed to be 100% renewable energy to be used for their Apple operations. But the program is constantly encountering complexities, ranging from on-site development challenges to purchase agreements to offsets, what's real, all happening in multiple countries with different regulations. There is extraordinary value in working with governments and government leaders to lower barriers to cost-effective renewable energy. Policy alignment in this space is really critical to driving real transformation. So we're so excited that President Biden and Special Envoy Kerry are leading the way with what they call SETI, Clean Energy Demand Initiative. Now, for several years now, we have worked to make Apple a company that's moving steadily towards zero environmental impact. We challenge ourselves to do this in a way that doesn't compromise our ability to make great progress and allows us to innovate, but also to make us better at doing things. We set these goals because it's one of our core values, and it's one of our business imperatives. We know that what is good for the planet and good for people is good for business. Or we can borrow some wisdom from one of my favorite Apple colleagues, Ted Lasso, who says, when it comes to business and the environment, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. So we've come a long way on this journey. We're carbon neutral for our operations. We're going to utilize clean energy for all our facilities. We've been doing that since 2018. We have a material recovery lab down in Texas to develop efficient recycling technologies. We have smart scientists working on innovations. And we've dedicated more than $4.7 billion in green bond funding to climate and environment work and help bring more than 4 gigawatts of renewable energy online. We're really proud. We know there's a lot more to do. It's become clear that one of the most important aspects of business leadership is reaching beyond our own operations, sharing solutions, being transparent about challenges, supporting actions by others. If you want to go fast alone, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So let's do both. In addition to working with our suppliers on clean energy, we sought alternative ways to build relationships, collaborate, and empower organizations. We've developed an innovative partnership with Conservation International and Goldman Sachs called the Restore Fund to invest in working forests. with the goal of removing 1 million metric tons of carbon every year. We launched an impact accelerator to invest in minority-owned businesses that are on the cutting edge of green technology and clean power. We want to drive economic activity, topple systemic barriers to opportunity, especially in the communities that are most vulnerable to climate change. Now, we know that no single company or even government or advocacy group alone can make the difference, but that's why we've made collaboration central to our efforts, and we'll continue to do so. Almost every day, I get reminded about how important and urgent this work is. That's why we're so committed to leading. It's why we're eager to collaborate. It's why we're thrilled to be here to support Special Envoy Kerry. I'm really glad to be with you. Thank you.
Lisa, thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Ryan, thank you, and Lisa, thanks a million. Just very quickly, we have about 5 minutes that we can carry on a little bit of conversation. Just as a quick addendum, we have been working with the 6 largest banks in the United States: Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, State Street, and Wells Fargo, in order to try to get an agreement about what kind of investment may be available to help make this transition happen. And to the credit of those 6 enormous financial institutions, they stood up and each of them laid out what they will commit to invest de minimis, a floor, over the course of the next 10 years. And the amount adds up to $4.16 trillion over 10 years. That's without, Larry Fink and BlackRock and a host of asset managers and a host of other banks in other parts of the world and around the world. We have a bank alliance going into Glasgow globally. We're really up in multiple trillions of dollars of assets that are committing to be part of this transition. So that's an opportunity for entrepreneurs, folks. The race right now, ask anybody in the business, is to find projects. Get something that's a bankable project or something that's an investable project early, now. And I'd like to ask both of you if you'd sort of comment on that part of this. I misnamed the climate is our business, but it's the same thing. It's Glasgow is our business. And that's going to be sort of trying to organize this kind of effort to make sure we're pushing the projects and they're out there. But what do you see? What's the biggest challenge that both of you think exists in this? And plans sound great, good on paper, good to announce. Mm-hmm. How do we make it, you sort of guarantee, and what do you see as the hurdles?
Yeah, I think you have put your finger right on it, Envoy Kerry. We see 2 things when we work with our supply chains. The first is actually knowledge. Many small to medium businesses want to run on clean energy, but they don't have the resources or the time. They're trying to make their business work. They're trying to keep people hired. They're trying to deal with this pandemic. They're still dealing with all that. So the first thing we can do, I think, is sharing knowledge, giving them an idea of how to source a good project. Is there, should you be looking to develop a project, invest in a project, do a power purchase agreement? For really small needs, of course, what's a quality offset? What does that look like? You really can't offset energy use, but you can at least help people understand what their range of options are that are affordable. And then we try to show them what we've learned at Apple with the second piece, which is there's resources needed. If you treat it like an investment, clean energy investments are balance sheet positive, but you have to have capital, be patient, less and less patient these days. And so that's...
But the whole purpose of this, I assume and understand, is to accelerate that transition. You just leave people out there and they're all fending for themselves, and you don't conglomeratize, aggregate their purchase power or their market. You wind up going much slower.
That's right.
This is the speed up mechanism, right?
This is what we see our role
Could be.
The knowledge and the resources to help to accelerate. We don't have the time to waste.
I mean, I'd agree wholeheartedly, but I'd also say that at the end of the day, I think it's a knowledge and an entrepreneurship problem. When you all see someone like Lisa talking about what Apple is doing. That's the best of the best. I mean, literally, you at a company as innovative as Apple, when you hear all the great stuff that's happening, it's phenomenal. But with you at Apple and me at LinkedIn and Microsoft, we're kind of way out here. How do we really help the companies that don't have the same insights and knowledge that you do or that innovation that Apple does to go and start to make these commitments? So I really do believe people want to do it. They just don't necessarily know where to start. So that's first. Then when you do get into it and you do want to make change for your company, you quickly realize that it's all about the supply chain. And supply chain is all about ensuring that there's entrepreneurial companies that are making changes to help companies like yours and mine to succeed in the space.
Do you both have teams in your, and what are they going to be doing?
I'll go first.
They're going to be reaching out proactively. They're going to be organizing these folks. And
Absolutely. So as it relates to LinkedIn, and especially with our initiative for climate entrepreneurship, economic development, we're going to ensure that entrepreneurs are connecting to each other through the LinkedIn platform, having access to those resources, having access to each other to help grow their business, and just letting the capital that flows through LinkedIn really flow in the right way towards these green entrepreneurs.
are there ways that you think both of your companies, by size and capacity and reputation and so forth, and capital, can help de-risk some of these operations, which also
Absolutely.
accelerates?
I think that's the power of working in your supply chain, because you have a business relationship with these folks. We buy from them. They sell to us. And so that relationship is one where we're not only saying, look, we'd love for you to make our components with clean energy, but we'd like to stand next to you and show you how to do it and do it the right way. So it's meaningful, because we also don't want to have to come back later and say, the money you spent, it doesn't really help because you didn't purchase clean energy, or you put it on the grid somewhere and it's not being used because there's no transmission. So yeah, I think the supply chain is absolutely key, and I do think that a lot of these businesses, they exist today. It's just that they're not in the business of clean energy, and we can, because we've done it for ourselves, we can be in that business and stand right next to them.
Well, I can tell you, it just makes a huge difference to be able to create this accelerant, and that's exactly what we have to do. Just to give you a sense, folks, if we are in fact going to reach the goal of 1.5 degrees, of holding the rise of the Earth's temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius, according to the International Energy Agency and the IPCC, we need to be planting trees 5 times faster than we are. We need to be cutting coal production 5 times faster than we are. We need to be deploying renewable energy 6 times faster than we are, and we need to be deploying electric vehicles 22 times faster than we are. That's just a few of the challenges. The IEA said that to meet the goal, we have to deploy one of the world's largest solar plants every day for the next 10 years. We can't even do the one in the next 5 months probably, let alone one day. So this is a big challenge, folks. We've just got to collect ourselves, and there's no space for any ounce of phony facts and denial. We have to make it happen. The red lights, the red numbers are on. We're looking at 4 zeros, which means we've run out of time to fake it.
Gotta go.
But join me in saying improbable words from the Climate Envoy, but a huge thank you and hooray for the efforts of both LinkedIn and Apple. Thank you.
Thank you so much.